Hey friends, this is the Miss Wolfie from our half-acre homestead. Well, Papa and I have cleaned out the big freezer. Now, I got this trick from, I can't remember who I got the idea from, but I used to put these in this bowl and cover them with boiling water to slip the skins, right? Well, these are frozen. I'm just going to fill these bowls and I'm going to let them thaw, and then I'm just going to put them all through the food mill. Easy peasy mac and cheesy. So there they are, in two big dishpan sized bowls to thaw. Okay, here's our tomatoes. I put them out last night. Some of them in the bottom are still frozen, but before, I used to get rid of all the water that came off of frozen tomatoes. Please don't do that. Why? There's a lot of flavor in that water. You need to cook that water off. Look at the color. You need to cook that water off to give your tomatoes flavor. And yeah, I got the Laugh Factory out. And it hasn't been used in a few years. Sometimes when you get a tomato that's been frozen and thawed, it will slip right out of its skin. But I don't have time to do that all day. We're going to use the Laugh Factory. Don't push too hard on the plunger or you'll have a tomato juice bath and you don't, whoop! Oh my goodness. I'll tell you folks, I'm going to need a shower. Stock pot to catch the juice and the pulp as it comes out. I'm really going to have to strong arm this. It's you know, kind of rusty. It's been a few years. This is always a messy job. Never run these without food in them, eh, folks? And never ever run the handle counterclockwise. If you do, your squisher thing will pop off and then it's a nightmare. Let's remember our fun with the food, Mrs. Wolfie's fun with the food mill. This is why you should never do raw tomatoes, even if they've been frozen, okay? If you're going to do that, I forgot why I never use this thing. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm saving it for applesauce because you have to take this thing apart to clean it every once in a while, and it becomes a mess everywhere. And I mean everywhere. Lord love a duck. Okay, that's all of them. Now I always use a stock pot because I don't have a heavy bottom one. I always use a stock pot inside a pressure canner with a rack in the bottom so that this isn't sitting directly on the burner, and it can evaporate, and you just stir it every once in a while to keep it off the bottom. It takes longer, puts a lot of steam in the air, but I don't have to stand here and stir, right? Okay, our tomatoes are starting to get thick. Not too thick, but thick enough for us to add spices because I've decided to make this ketchup. First off, I'm going to add 2 cups. Now, we're going to cook this down probably by half again. So, we're going to add 2 cups of organic sugar, 2 cups of cider vinegar with the mother. I have a half a teaspoon of paprika, a 1/4 teaspoon of chili flakes, a half a teaspoon of celery seed, a 1/4 teaspoon of cloves, a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, a tablespoon of dry mustard powder, and a tablespoon of salt. And in they go. And now we're going to cook this down in the double boiler, allowing it. Oh, do you know what I forgot? Onion. Okay, I don't have any onion powder, so I've cut up 2 medium onions and I've added a teaspoon of granulated garlic. Really doesn't matter. If you have fresh ingredients, great. But it really doesn't matter because I'm going to hit this with the immersion blender once it's cooked down, just to break up the pepper flakes and the onion. Okay, my ketchup is the perfect flavor. But you know what? It's a little thin. So when I went shopping yesterday, I picked up a couple of cans of tomato paste. I don't know if it's going to need both, but what I like to do is I like to take the top off, set the open side on a bowl, and then take the bottom off, and it relieves the vacuum. Well, I didn't get the bottom all the way off, but you can see it comes right out once you break the seal. And then we're going to see how that thickens that up. I might actually add the second can. Papa just tasted this ketchup and he said it's perfect. Now that's what we're talking about. You don't need tomato paste, folks, but you know, when you get right down to the flavors right and it's too thin, you just want to give it that little extra bit of body. Okay, here's our jars in our boil bath canner. It's actually a pressure canner with the rack in the bottom, and my jars have been simmering away for about 15 minutes. Here are my washed and rinsed lids, and here's our beautiful ketchup. Let's get canning. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my boiled jars out, and now we're just going to fill it. I don't use a measuring cup for this. Papa tested this ketchup and he said it was perfect. So we are going to can it up. And the thickness was just right with that can of tomato paste added. 1 inch from the top. Always, always wipe your threads and your rim. Clean new lid. Back into the canner this goes. My ketchup is not hot, so it's going to take longer to process in the boil bath canner. Okay, I got 3 750 ml jars, a 1 liter jar, and 2 pints. Oops, sorry about the steam. And because the ketchup was cold when I put it in, because I let it cool down, I'm going to let this boil bath can for a good 30 to 40 minutes. And there it is, folks. MrsV's Kick-Ass Ketchup. It's not really spicy, but it's got enough kick to let you know it ain't your average everyday ketchup. Take care. God bless.